Hey, welcome back to the two-stroke turbo channel. Shop dog Stella is telling us that it's going to be nice and warm today. Her fur coat is just soaking up that sun, as are we. We really enjoy this warm weather. We haven't had hardly any, but we have had some time to drive our little Subaru 360 van. This belongs to a customer of mine. I've been sorting it out for almost a year now, I think. And I've been driving it, and it hasn't been running that great. Carburetor's been doing weird things, flooding, kind of not stalling, but the throttle response was not responsive. So I took the top off the carburetor, and you can see down in there, I cleaned it all out. It was completely full of rust, and wouldn't you know, the float is, I don't know if you can hear that, half full of fuel. I don't know where or how these things leak, but that's definitely affecting our fuel level. We can't set our parameters the way we want. So what we do is we get one of these floats. I'm going to show you the part number there because they're really a lifesaver. It's a Nissan part number. It's for a Fairlady or an early 710 truck, and they're a plastic float. There's no hollowness to it, so it can't collapse, it can't leak, and they're a direct replacement. So we're going to put a Nissan float in there. Oh, and they're about 50 bucks now, I think. They used to be 20, but getting harder to find, like everything else in the world. So I'm going to clean up the jet. I got the main jet cleaned up. I got to find the pilot jet, see if I can do a little carburetor rebuild on this thing on the car, and we'll take it for a drive and see how much better it runs. I think it's going to run way better. It has to. I mean, that's just, this thing is really heavy, and it's half full of fuel. So that would be causing the needle and seat to overflow the carburetor and cause all kinds of running problems. I had no adjustability on the fuel mixture at idle, so that was part of the problem. And I suspected that to be the case, but I couldn't remember if I had changed this float. I had not. So we're going to do that, put it back together, and see how she runs. Stay tuned. All right, we got our carburetor back together. The new float is in. All the jets are cleaned. I may not have need for this pressure regulator any longer because the carburetor was flooding over. I thought the new pump had too much pressure. It's only a 3 psi pump, and this has the small needle and seat, the 1.2 in it. It shouldn't do that, but I've got it set on 2 pounds of fuel pressure. That's good. We'll try that and see if we need it. Let's turn it on and check for leaks and see if it'll start. So the ignition is on. I can hear the fuel pump running. Let's see if we can get in here. The door's kind of banging here. Let's see if we can get to start. Oh, we got to pull the choke out right here. Should be full by now. Start it right up. Oh, much better throttle response. Now the idle's probably way too high because it was flooding over. Let's back it out and see how she runs. Oh, sweet throttle response. That's nice. That's way better. I mean, it just revs up like crazy. It was a dog before. That makes sense. Okay. All right, we got something we can work with. I think we've got too much. Oh, we got to do it. Okay, so we've got a pretty good idle going on now. We do have sensitivity on our mixture control. Everything has to be adjusted very slowly. You got to find the good combination between too much mixture. See how the idle's creeping up? I'm going to take some curb idle out of it and reduce the mixture just a little bit. And then you got to give it a minute or so to settle out. I've got quite a bit of timing in this thing, about 18 degrees, which is more than stock. So you got to be careful, that will activate the springs in the distributor give it more advance. You got to find a happy medium for everything. It should idle about 1,000. I think we're about 1,500 right now. Oh, we're showing 2,000. So I'm going to keep playing with it until I get to where I want it. Okay, after a bit of tinkering between the base idle and the fuel enrichment or the fuel mixture, I've got it idling about 1,000 RPM. That's about what I want. It takes a little while to get there. In other words, I'll show you what I mean. So it's idling about 1,000 RPM, right on the money. Pretty smooth. If I give her a flick of the gas, I revved it up to about 4,500, make it 5,000. It takes a little while for it to come back down, and that's actually okay, because you're usually shifting gears in traffic, and that's fine. It's when you're sitting at a stoplight you want it to come down. Now it's hanging there at 2,100. That's not okay. There's something stuck here. Should come down. Okay. Well, I got to make some more adjustments. Got to keep playing with it till you get it. 2,000 is too much. There we go. It's coming down now. It's just taking a while. There we go. Every van or Subaru 360 is a little different. So this one takes a while, it kind of hangs around and then comes down, but it needs to rest on about 1,000. Get up in there. There you go. All right, so we're going to do a little test run on our little Subaru 360 van. Here we got it idling pretty good. New float, carburetor's been rebuilt. You can see our idle is down to 1,000 RPM, which is where it should be. Everything's working, and what I noticed, and a lot of people don't realize this, the engine's in the back, you realize that, but the engine needs cool combustion air, and Subaru actually designed a really ingenious device to get cool combustion air back to the carburetor. Again, if you're aware, if you suck in hot air to the carburetor, for every 11 degrees of intake air temperature, it reduces the power output by 1%. And with these little engines being 2-cycle, sometimes not the best fuel, sometimes not the best timing, sometimes not the best state of tune, they tend to hold pistons. So what you can do is you can make sure this is working, and that's the air filter assembly is hooked up to the frame. In other words, the frame rail is right here on the passenger side, and there's a screen vent right here, and I can hear by listening that this one's working. In other words, this isn't a ram air effect for the carburetor. It goes all the way through the hollow frame on that side to a duct in the back into the carburetor. Really ingenious. So when you're going down the road, you've got cool, fresh air going to your carburetor, and it helps with engine overheating. A lot of times those get plugged with squirrels, nuts, nests, mud daubers, all kinds of things, and then you go to drive your Subaru 360 with a brand new engine and it overheats and you wonder why. And that sometimes is the cause. So let's take this thing for a drive. Go for a short little drive here. I just want to make sure that, confirm the carburetor is working well. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning, which is this little flapper here. You push this in, see it open up down there, closed, open. It's hot today. Roll this window down. Stella's in the back here. Let's see how she runs with the new carburetor. First gear, brake is off. I can already tell. The throttle response, like right off idle, is incredible. Make sure there's no cars coming either direction. There's not. Okay. Oh yeah, incredible. This has got a good transmission, doesn't grind. Oh, big, huge truck right there. So all we need to do is get squashed by a truck after all this hard work. That would not be cool. So we're going to do a U-turn using the power steering. Doesn't have power steering, I'm just joking about that. But we've got good power now. Much more confidence inspiring. Second gear. Oh yeah, she revs up good. This is gonna be a good runner. Way better. Brakes are good. You needs to be used a little more. Okay, we've got a van we can drive. So I'm going to start driving this thing for the customer. He wants it to be perfect when he picks it up. It takes some sorting to get these things. People don't realize how much value is in sorting out a car. Unfortunately, it doesn't come free. But first gear is not synchronized, and we get down to first, and we're going to do another power steering, lock to lock, see if we can make this. Oh yeah, it's got a good tight turning radius, and it's got great power. Oh, that's much better. Way better. Nice. So we might have grabbed third gear here. Let's see. Yep, third gear, floored, 20 miles an hour. It's picking up. Oh, we got to jam on the brakes to make it into the shop. Okay, power steering again. Oh, this is nice. Ah, yeah, dream van. There we go. Okay, now the mechanicals are pretty well sorted out on this thing. We're going to start working on aesthetics. Door panels, trim pieces. There's a trim piece that goes down there. He wants it all in. So that's next. Stay tuned for the next video.